Tempo answered the call of Kel'Thuzad, but it's Team Freedom who withstood it. They took it out in Game 3.
They did, and it was more about the adjustments in the middle of the game than it was about the Kel'Thuzad, right? Because, Psalm played it about as effectively as you really could on a map like Sky. I feel like he seriously played it as good as he did on the map like Tomb. It's just the map mixed with, more importantly, Team Freedom. They were just like, okay, we're starting to figure this out. We can't just disengage into it and let this keep happening. So the minute they hit that 16, I didn't think Sonya 16 was enough of a spike for that to happen, but apparently it was.
Cure has proven otherwise.
Yeah.
We've got Game 4 right about to begin. It will take place on Towers of Doom. After Sky Temple, this is generally the second favorite battleground of Team Freedom. So continually no surprises for the battle rounds that we've seen.
Yeah, Team Freedom here. Tempo Storm likes the map too.
Finally got their first win on it of all of Phase 2 last week.
Yeah,
versus Even in Death.
Yeah.
1-6.
Feels kind of awkward, man, you know? That's about all to say on that one. But we're going to the Todd. I find it convenient that the acronym actually describes a name here for Towers of Doom. One thing I've always found weird. Also, I'm not even going to bring that up. Now that I've said it, okay, too late. I was going to say.
Why don't you have a conversation with yourself?
I was going to say, describing the, like, if you were to write out the acronyms for every one of the maps and they can only be 3 letters, like, Towers of Doom is an easy one, right? But, like, maps like Tomb, I feel like there is, like, community-wise, nobody has an agreement on, like, what is the acronym? For me, it's TOM, right? But for other people, it would be, like, TOSQ.
Who said that it has to be 3?
I was just, mainly in my spreadsheet, I set the limit to 3, but.
Because you could just add a B to that, and you've got 2.
Or you
That's what I do. No. Surprisingly, you get to choose your own rules.
Gilly, nobody needs this public shaming, okay? You know, you want to grab a stone too? You need a no? Okay.
I'm sorry.
As you can tell, it's a solid Saturday here at the HGC.
I'm dead. All right, let's get back to it.
Yeah. That's my first reaction usually when I publicly shame somebody. I just laugh at them immediately after, too.
I said I was sorry.
Just good old salts for there. It's all good. Doc is the ban for Tempo. Do we see anything crazy here out of the Team Freedom? At this point, I can't even think strategy. Tazadar, Medivh, Abathur could still be a ban here in a map like this.
Both of these teams, like running Stitch's Medivh.
Yeah, it's
Milk carton strategy. On this map. I'm trying to get back at you.
You're getting there. You're getting there. You see, we all understood. You were trying to form a sentence. There was a couple pauses awkwardly. You were, you're speaking and then still speaking, but we get it.
We made it through the sentence.
Uther's the ban there for Team Freedom. Automatically putting a lot of emphasis onto supports. This screams their intention is going the double support avenue. Then it goes Tempo Storm. You want to pick one up for yourself because that typically is not worth that first pick slot.
What would be maybe is an ETC here. Freedom feels that way. But Freedom has also left up ETC where generally they don't in the second. But man, there's just so many things. Towers of Doom means that Abathur Genji is also a potential play there. Let's start with the Abathur.
So we do find that Abathur. Now do Team Freedom deny the Genji? They already have Uther.
Yeah.
Snap ETC Genji from them. Tempo Storm now. You have the Abathur. So who is your hat target? We saw Murden picked up from them highly before. Just judging by that last draft, I'm going to assume this will still be a Murden into response because it was into an ETC as well. And then the other target, they went with their support last time, and with the support bans being out there onto the Uther, it probably is in their best interest to just, pick up that Rhaegar. But that's what they did last time, and then it kind of got a little awkward, in the back half of the draft and what hyper carry they wanted to move into. But ultimately, I guess they did kind of flex it on Azad.
Well, last time they were in second pick position too.
Yeah.
So it may be that they are more comfortable getting the Murden and then a Greymane here. But yeah, the support ban of Uther it's kind of troubling, but kind of not, I guess, because ETC also didn't get their support at all in that. So they still need to get a support even after.
The biggest thing that the Uther ban should indicate beyond the priority of supports is what type of fighting, right? Because Uther is the only man standing against hard crowd control, CC, Stunlock, Deathball, offensive compositions due to Guardian and HG King, and again, the limitations of Cleanse being pulled away from supports. So Rhaegar was picked up, only burst support remaining. Not too surprised from that. The Anubarak a little out of place, but it shows that offensive playstyle that Tempo Storm wants now. They're going to be very, very offensive. So much so, Freedom maybe even want to consider picking up a false ad for themselves later as this draft goes through. It means the global to match the Abathur, and it's got the disengage against the offense that you know Tempo wants.
Trying to figure out what support will be now that both Rhaegar and Uther aren't able to give the kind of enabling to Genji that traditionally you want. What support they'll want there. Tempo Storm may still ban another support at this point. Maybe Lucio, so that he doesn't get the big burst heal of an Ancestral, but at least he has the shield boost when Sound Barrier goes down. Malthael ban.
If this is a Lucio ban, I'm actually a bit concerned for Tempo Storm. That Malthael ban could have been a play more than it was a indication of a traditional draft. So that baits you into banning out the Lucio because the support priority. Hold on a second here. I might be backwards. Give me a second to think this one out. I might have it backwards with the Malthael indicating the Lucio. If you ban out the Malthael, gosh, I'm thinking out loud here. I'm sorry, dude. I just had a moment, and then it's just gone.
Tempo Storm's looking at an Illidan. Oh, changing that up, though. No Greymane to go along with their Abathur. That's the second time I've thought that Tempo Storm would want to get a Greymane Abathur combo.
So the Malthael, Lucio is the response to the Malthael. So you ban out the Malthael, it indicates you want to go into the Lucio, but then Tempo could ban out the Lucio, and if Tempo ended up banning, I felt like it could have been a bait in towards choke into other supports. It was more what I was looking for Freedom. Even though they do have the Rhaegar, if they had any indication go a different direction. And I feel like wasting the ban on the Lucio when they had the intent to pick something very different, because Lucio doesn't stand out as a must pick for Freedom. It would be convenient, if we talked about Lucio, I mean, purely off his movement speed alone, I would argue brings him, once you get past the burst healers, he is the next best immediately, because that movement speed directly translates to healing and damage. He's one of the few that can essentially make your composition not only defensively save you, but more offensively.
Love it. Team Freedom has seen now that Tempo Storm has twice not been comfortable or not wanting to go into an Abathur Greymane. There is no, I guess maybe there is still an Illidan possible because they didn't end up banning it. Tempo Storm was looking at that, but seeing Tempo Storm ban Greymane and then taking Li Ming away, so cool from Team Freedom to call that out from Tempo Storm.
Yeah, it was really well done. And now with the Malthael ban on top of it, it's like kind of the sugar on top, because or the cherry on top. Because if Malthael was over to the other side, you'd be like, yeah, maybe there's a shot. But now it's like all the damage sources, all the major ones, other than, again, those direct hat targets, and those things are just so heavily decentralized. Like the exact same thing last time Tempo Storm committed to this vague, we're going to go with these three generic, but our depth may be not far enough through our pick bans to go into that hyper carry. And so now they are heavily onto the back foot, unless I am missing.
Zeratul probably still going to go along with that. Could they Zeratul Janna? No, Vala Ariel.
I would have thought if anything got weird there, it would have been that Muradin still to have like a, we have that hot target, because he is really underestimated, I feel like. But they go with another support, so a double support Abathur composition with a solo warrior who's extremely vulnerable. Any kind of vulnerability here for Freedom and more offense I would adore. Even so much so as they can pick Judgment. Oh man, if they Tyrael Judgmented this comp, I don't see a way that they lose it, because there is, maybe not. Maybe with the double support there's enough cross-supporting, but just as long as they're offensive and they get more crowd control to lock down those double supports. Because think about when you don't have the Abathur, that's one less body into most of the fights, and the clone is really easy to pull away from. That last rotation for Tempo, I just really feel like didn't pack the punch they were hoping for.
Underwhelming. Li Ming's also going to be able to deal with the Cocoon, so the Cocoon, one support, and then take out the other one. Team Freedom may not go into a double support here. It's not a guarantee.
I hope they don't. I think it's in their best interest not to. With a double reset into a double support, you need to make sure you get these kills. That's how you win this game, not out-healing them. Arthas will slow them down and prep the double reset, so that makes a bit of sense in that same direction. The only reason I wanted the Tyrael is because I wanted that point-and-click hard initiation, not like a risky one. But Lucio plus the Arthas, I mean, it kind of works the same way, right? Rather than that all-in and being cleansable, you're just like, well, Arthas will relatively slow you down, and Lucio's going to relatively speed us up. So it's a pretty easy gap closer there. I feel like Team Freedom dominated the draft here.
Yeah, that getting Lucio and Li Ming, that's where it really started to be scary. But even getting ETC and Genji after the Abathur first pick of Tempo Storm, proving that they're willing to still get a Genji. We know that they're willing to play Genji in just about any circumstance that they can get their hands on them, and having ETC Genji together, I mean, Lag Force have shown us just how strong that those two together can be against somebody like Avala.
Tempo Storm does have the opportunity to just out-pressure Team Freedom, and Team Freedom, I say that, Team Freedom has really good anti-siege too, as long as they're there in the right amount of time, right? If Tempo is rotating, clearing, and pressuring, then disengaging, and then rotating to a different lane and pressuring, much like you would a normal 1-4 through the wave clear, I think they've got a shot. But if at any point Tempo Storm wants to stick this 1-3, which you normally do in Abathur compositions, they aren't going to have the pressure that they want. And the Genji, Leeming, Arthas, one hard crowd control is going to hit, and they just go in. There's the first reset, and they just kill you very, very fast. I feel like even the laning is hard for Tempo Storm, and that's what's so scary. But if they get past the 10 threshold, they have an Abathur comp on towers, so we know that that pretty much is always a pretty solid win as long as you get to that point.
Well, let's get into it. Towers of Doom, potentially our final game of HGC North America regular league. Or can Tempo Storm tie it up and send us to Game 5?
Q build picked up here for Vala. We'll see if anybody else changes anything here. Arthas went into the block just to deal with the auto attacking. Not surprising, considering that Vala, in fact, is the only damage dealer. Got a lot of armor, or excuse me, auto attack damage reduction from the members of Team Freedom.
Even block party.
Yeah.
Exciting to see Dansky's Genji again.
It's pretty gross.
Always good to watch his Genji.
I use the word gross in a good way, but it's pretty gross. It just makes you kind of get those, like, the chills, like that spider conversation we just had yesterday, but it's just more because you're like, man, I would not want to face that.
Yeah. How many times would I die to this? A few, probably.
I've died to it more than I'd like to admit to, honestly.
Yeah?
It's not as much as a Medivh. Actually, I don't know if I've ever played his Genji specifically, but not as much as the Medivh. That one will haunt me forever.
Well, we've got an orb. That was a pretty good orb from Nasmus. Hit several members of Tempo Storm.
So this is when, talking about that laning situation, watch what Team Freedom should be doing now, right? Tempo did apply that pressure appropriately, and we see this collapse down. If Freedom can collapse effectively and then force that initiation right there, Tempo is going to have a bad time. But if Tempo does that, where they meet up to a front wall like that, and then they back out, and then they reapply temporarily while the members disengage, then Tempo is going to gain the upper hand. I'm actually pleasantly surprised with how Tempo is coordinating this so far.
June's still considering his level 1 talent. There's been a lot of swift sweep lately. Oh, this is a change, though. Getting Searing Light. Recognizing that with this double support, Abathur, and new Barak composition, some changes need to be made for the Ariel build to try to add some damage. The Searing Light, likely it would see a Reservoir of Hope at 16 so that you can start to pack a punch as an Ariel. But for now, just know that June can do some damage with his Ray of Heaven at 30% of the energy consumed to his opponents.
It's pretty good against that many melees here for Team Freedom, too, because it helps, in theory, I mean, regen more and more of your hope as well, right? It's kind of a double win there. Invade over this Sapper camp that has been so almost ritualistic here in North America. Tempo Storm walk away with the win on that. And we've got ourselves the 3 altars. No Sapper started for Team Freedom. That is interesting. I don't think we've seen that almost all split for them.
No, instead just trying to see if they could peek in and catch somebody from Tempo Storm, but it does set them back somewhat in this bottom lane. No, like Dahaka type global. There is an Abathur that may end up picking up a shrine after a team fight here or there, but Abathur is going to channel here, so that enables Tempo Storm, the rest of the composition, to be here in the mid around this altar as Arthas starts to come down to join them.
A lot of good damage there for Nasmus. Going to allow them to get that, but Zugrug is the focus. Immediately killed there. First blood over to Tempo Storm. They're not done. Fury's in the chase of Dansky. Forces the reflect. No mobility spells remaining. The Hungering Arrow gets distracted. The W. June went in for that level 1 kill, but it's not enough. Dansky lives, and he is out of here.
But in taking down Zugrug, Tempo Storm still were able to get one of the shrines.
June's
Team Freedom
going
got 22 of them. He is. They're trying to make a lot of the siege happen early on. They take down Lucio. Team Freedom may be biting off more than they could chew in this defense.
And he's going with the repeated offense there at level 4. He's just looking to bully people there as that support. And, you know, we don't often talk about the offensive capabilities of Ariel, but let's be real here. Other than Rhaegar, she probably is the best offensive support when it comes to how much damage they can actually output. Rhaegar naturally is, I mean, far higher damage than most supports, and then you can spec into his Ghost Wolf bite at 16, and even some of the CDR at 7 can really help his damage output. But Ariel's the next to go, and it starts with that repeated offense, allowing you to get 250 bonus damage on that Detainment Strike.
And we'll see how far he builds into that. Maybe a Piercing Lash at 13.
I find it cool that Tempo is willing to commit towards the Mule on a map like Towers, but they weren't so much on the last time that they went in with this composition, and they went with more of the, you know, hat target, or the, excuse me, the increased damage onto the spike. And I wonder if that's the map or the Murden, right? Because we did see them pick that with that all-in hat target Murden style of play.
Well, looking at what Team Freedom have, keeping the bell towers healthy, and probably just the fact that they were able to get a bell tower this early on, is a good indication of them being able to hold on to the bell towers for a while. Having the offensive Mule is pretty darn annoying to deal with when you're a team against the Abathur on Towers of Doom. And they're also dealing with these sappers. 7 is here for Team Freedom, so they are on the same talent tier as Tempo Storm, but Tempo Storm is just, they're just attacking structures. It's like, oh, we're not going to team fight, we're just going to kill structures. Dansky is tired of this, wants to go after Caterpillar, but the rest of the team not quite here yet. Yeah,
they cycled the pressure in the early game so well that they're now in a situation where they're just dictating every rotation that Team Freedom tries to make. They're even starting this channel, but they've already lost 5 of those shots on that first bell tower. Zugrug went for the power slide in to get the rebuttal, but there's that Detainment Strike we were talking about. Dansky's Swift Strike, and he wants to swiftly get the hell out of here. Unable to do so, he's out.
Tempo
I guess he did
Storm.
go out, just in a different way.
Or, what do we call it? Hall of Storms and Chill?
Yeah.
That's what he gets to go do.
Yeah, you can see Hall of Storm and Chill.
Man, the games that Tempo Storm is ahead in the early game, they are so ahead in the early game. You know, Tomb, they had their Kel'Thuzad, and granted, Team Freedom maybe hadn't really played against that yet, was still adapting to that, but they are, it's like when they get a lead, they're just on another level. And doing that to Team Freedom, too.
Yeah, it's very impressive that they've been able to do that. And I did feel like the last time that we saw it, it was a bit of a compositional error here out of Freedom, but this one has just been purely outplay, I feel like, for the most part. That they understood the situation with the laning phase early on, and that they have essentially just been able to accelerate that even further. Then by being able to convert that bottom bell tower over to their favor, and as you said, the Mule, then the altars were near flawless timing for Tempo Storm. There have been some just kind of awkward happenstance for Freedom, but again, most of this is Tempo just saying, nah, boys, we are ready to prove we're one of the best in NA.
Well, in the last game, Team Freedom were able to find an opportunity to get back into the game, to even take control of the game. So we'll see if they can do it here, too. They're sitting at 26 to the 32 core health of Tempo Storm, as Tempo have their heroics. Team Freedom are about to get theirs, too. I'm wondering if, since we see ETC all the way up in the top, it's a stage dive this time, immediate stage dive grab. Everything else, though, as we would expect, this is less of a lockdown for ETC with a mosh pit to hold people down for Dragon Blade, and then Li Ming resets along with that, but having an Arthas still mitigates that in a lot of ways. As long as Cure can get on a lot of targets with Frozen Tempest, and with his Howling Blast, he can be the one who sets them up.
This bell tower about to be converted for Tempo Storm right before this altar phase spawns. We also have to keep in mind that there's only one altar up here, and that means that Tempo Storm is going to have a very easy time with their clone and getting value out of it. So we'll see if Team Freedom can bait the clone, disengage, and then look for the re-initiation. That is the sole intent. Also, Abathur has shown himself on top, so ETC is going to kill him. If that front wall is down, oh, he barely there. He drops the ult, but he knows that there is an Abathur there.
Yeah, once the clone is down, that's where he'll go back to. But Stage Dive is going to come in anyway, so Zugrug way more focused on the fight. Li Ming taken out at the start.
Wow, Cattle gets the heal from the clone out of Cawthon, and that keeps him alive. Aegis and Ancestral are all used on the same target, but that was all they needed to keep Vala alive. 2 members of Freedom are already dead, and Tempo Storm is easily going to claim themselves this altar.
Yeah, Tempo Storm getting the kill on Li Ming just as ETC wanted to start stage diving in. The focus for Team Freedom was obviously in the backline of Tempo Storm, but Tempo getting Vala in that mobile position and then almost functioning like a melee assassin with having all of the supporting of Ariel and the double Rhaegar. Let them take out Li Ming so there would be no resets, even if somebody went down. This is just incredible from Tempo Storm, that they have been able to control the map this early on. 6 kills to 0. Team Freedom has had 0 kills. They are on the back foot constantly, even if they go into a shrine.
Cure's about to die just defending Sappers.
Yeah. even if they go into a shrine, it's of the notion that they're going to get fewer shots because Tempo Storm has a bell tower taken somewhere.
And I mean, Tempo Storm does have their composition with a lead at the later stage of the game, so now it's just going to be even more, of a problem for Team Freedom. But that's just the compositional thing. So that shows that the strength Tempo has displayed in the first couple of minutes, the fact that now you're saying this is when they're going to be a problem and that they have been absolutely dominating over the first section. Keep in mind the 6-0 on those kills. And more importantly, it's been the abuse of timing those bell towers with brilliant transitions and rotations. That, for me, has been the thing that stood out the most here for Tempo, is they are very much just thinking about everything that they do. How can they get the most out of it? And they have done, I mean, they've calculated almost perfectly so far.
Yeah, and Freedom knew that the best shot for them to get back in the game was that 11-10 fight. They went in for the fight, but Tempo Storm getting a kill at the start of it just dismantled the plans of Team Freedom. If Freedom are going to get another shot, it's a double altar setup. Freedom likely are not even going to be able to get this bell tower back, so it's all about trying to win the team fight and figure out where the majority of Tempo Storm is set up. Tempo Storm has a lot of different options about how they want to handle this, though, but that does not start with Caterpillar getting caught.
But if Freedom fails this and loses both these shrines, this game might be out of control. June is completely isolated. Nobody's there to try and help him. There's Cawthon with the clone. Once again, going on to the Rhaegar. He's focusing on the Cure, Howling Blast, and Icebound Fortitude is already used. Impale unable to connect, and nobody's starting the channels quite yet.
June actually has a bell tower he can retreat
Dragon Blade.
to. Dragon Blade's been used. And then there is the Cocoon to stop him, but with the Disintegrate, gets Dansky back out. Stage Dive is going to go down, but not really onto anybody. And with the Abathur on a minion, Li Ming goes down. That's the first kill in the fight.
That's going to win them this entire fight. That was the game-winning play. That was amazing from Cawthon. If they had not gotten that, that would have been Team Freedom dominating. And now they have 5 bell towers, a double altar to pick up for themselves. They've controlled the bottom bell tower. They can stack these Sapphires. Gilly, this is almost enough to be game.
We were so certain in the draft screen that this was Team Freedom getting the series in the bag, but Tempo Storm proving us wrong. Early Sapper pressure, bell tower pressure, they are oppressive against Team Freedom.
And the biggest thing is the fact that Rhaegar is the triple support Vala. Nobody can kill the Vala, and nobody is finding a way to get enough damage onto either June or whoever is playing onto the Rhaegar right now. Psalm, there we go. Onto Psalm or onto June. They need to find a way to kill one of those two. Ignore Cawthon in the clone, because keep in mind, he doesn't get any of those talents. He doesn't have those cleanse or anything the like. He's just got one heal, and that's all he can give.
Well, part of that, too, is the separation of June in the last fight. Zugrug was zoning him way far away, but even if the team collapses on him, June goes into Crystal Aegis, and suddenly Tempo Storm is underneath a bell tower controlled by them. It's not like June was separated out into a structure where they could maybe capitalize off of some of the structural damage from that. It's just this bottom has been such a problem for Team Freedom this entire game.
And it should be noted, too, that beyond that Abathur hat, that in that fight, Dansky was a fraction of a health bar away from going in and getting a reset onto multiple members of Tempo Storm. So it was barely out of reach up until, again, that brilliant Abathur hat play from Cawthon Luck. Boss seems to be the focus now as we see our town portal opening up. Tempo Storm sharking around. Freedom still a level away from the same talent tier.
Oh.
And that's a game-winning altars up.
Oh, man. 8 health, which means 2 must be claimed from Team Freedom. But Zugrug falling would just about be the end.
But now Cure's here with a flank. This could be a good fight for them as long as Zugrug backs to be able to get full HP. He has the stage dive if necessary.
With everybody up here, Abathur should just be able to go down to the bot now as long as he knows that everybody from Team Freedom is up in the top. So Team Freedom has chosen just to make the fight over the 2 in the top lane.
But if they do that, they cannot fail either one of these. Dansky's the first to move up. Without the 16, Cure drops Army of the Dead. Cawthon, he's going to whittle away back there. There's the stage dive, power slide, sound barrier. That's Dragon Blade, but nobody's going down. Tempo, the cross supporting is too real, and Nasmus is dead.
That was the best opportunity for Team Freedom, and it's just not happening for them. Tempo Storm is just too much. They've already lost Li Ming. ETC is down. There are 2 altars to be taken, but Team Freedom is sending Zugrug bottom as fast as he can speed down there with his wall riding. Collusion starts the altar, but Abathur gets in and slaps him. Oh, Cawthon Luck making the plays this game.
How? He's the world's best slug? What's going on? Cawthon Luck.
Oh, man.
3 shots remain, but not for long. Tempo Storm, they're taking us to game 5. I'm, first of all, double support, hyper carry with an Abathur composition, winning levels
Triple
1
support.
through 9.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And then the triple support was just too difficult to deal with. What?
Oh, we do forget that that game Ariel was, in fact, a ranged assassin.
I mean, she was. Damage-wise, she actually out-damaged Nubarak and was only about 4,000 damage behind the highest DPS on their team.
Hey!
In that last team fight, if you take a minute to look at that chokehold, he actually hit 3 members of Team Freedom and 4 members of Tempo Storm with almost 1 whole bar of hope. And with the Reservoir of Hope and the damage at level 1, that means, I mean, 10% of Team Freedom's HP and almost 75% healed up to your team. That is value, boys. That's what you say to that one.
2 thumbs up to this Ariel build. It's been a while since we've seen this Ariel build, too. Like, I remember when Ariel first came out, everyone was like, yo, you can do some damage with this hero. And then we went to the Sacred Sweep, and we were all about the blinds
and
and
then
the
Lunara
heals,
happened.
and then the double support with the hyper carry, and we're back. We're back to Ariel being front and center as a damage dealer. I love it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
We're going to game 5. Our final series